Hey, today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 healthy foods to lower your cholesterol. How to lower your LDL cholesterol, that's the bad cholesterol, with diet. Hi, Sophie here, and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to my channel, a double welcome to my kitchen. So I put out videos, probably try to every single week. And so make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and that you click the little gray notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos when they come in. And every week I give you tips, tricks, tools, and inspiration for keeping healthier and happier for years to come. So today I am focusing on cholesterol. So what we really want to focus on as we get older is obviously keeping our LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, as low as we can, ideally under 70. And we want our total cholesterol to ideally be under 150. Now, as a board certified nutritionist, I am so thrilled that there are certain foods, very powerful foods, in terms of foods that can actually lower your bad cholesterol and keep your good cholesterol where it needs to be. So could not be more happy about that. I think that's one of the reasons why, honestly, I became a nutritionist, because it was so exciting and fascinating for me to see that foods are so powerful, that foods are our medicine, and that there are now so many scientific studies, evidence-based science, to show that some of these foods that I'm showing you today can be as effective, if not more, than actual cholesterol-lowering drugs. But obviously, that's between you and your doctor, and you should never take yourself off your meds before you've spoken to your doctor or before you've tried an entirely different diet and actually seen your numbers drop by way of diet, and then go and talk to your doctor. So I wanted to make that really clear before we start. So my speciality as a board certified nutritionist is really on weight management too, because obviously the two things go together. I have a lot of clients coming my way who, are overweight, have unwanted pounds that they want to lose, they want to reduce their BMI, etc. And very often we see, obviously, when that happens, we get them to their ideal weight, that their cholesterol, their LDL cholesterol numbers drop to where they want it to be. So if you are interested in finding out a little bit more about my holistic approach to weight management, to reaching your ideal weight and staying there for life, with disease prevention being the number one priority, check out my free masterclass below this video. Link is below this video. Okay, let's get on with it now. So there are 10 foods here. Listen carefully. Stick around to the end, because at the end I have a very special cooking technique that isn't ordinarily talked about, and you're really going to want to know about to get the most out of the veggies that I'm going to be talking about. So it's very important information. So stick around to the end. So food number one, I'm going with nuts, but I'm going very specifically with walnuts. Now, I am a great fan of nuts. That's where we get our healthy fats from. And every single nut has a different health benefit. So you really want to try and get a variety of different nuts into your diet, whether it's pecans, whether it's almonds, whether it's walnuts, whether it's pistachios. It's fascinating how each of these nuts has a different health benefit. So for instance, somebody comes to me and they say, so if you have trouble sleeping, then I may say, try and eat some pistachio nuts in and around dinner time, because they contain melatonin. So you can see another example would be pecan nuts have an extremely high antioxidant profile. But in this video, because we're talking about cholesterol and heart health, I really want to focus on walnuts, because that's where I've seen the science. So walnuts are an extremely rich source of omega-3 fatty acids. So very often you'll have doctors or experts go, oh, a Mediterranean diet is the thing that you need to do for heart health and whatnot, meaning that, you eat lots of fruits and veggies and grains and whatnot, and you also throw in some fish. But what I say as a holistic nutritionist is let's take the middleman away, which is the fish, and go straight to the source of omega-3 fatty acids, which would in many cases be an algae oil rather than a fish oil or a fish. And I will put a link underneath this video for an algae oil that I recommend for your omega-3 fatty acids. So that is important, for heart health and overall health. But I want to talk about walnuts as they pertain to your heart health in general and cholesterol levels. So really, truly, all you need in order to get the benefits, the heart healthy benefits, is to have 1 to 2 servings of walnuts a week. You can have more for sure. And how many nuts or servings of nuts that you allow into your diet, your day, is really up to you. And again, when I work with my clients on a personal level, we'll tailor it to their needs and, how fast they want to lose their weight or whatever. But in terms of heart health, 1 to 2 servings of nuts. Now, in the case of walnuts, a serving size with walnuts would be 14 walnut halves. Okay, so that's 7 whole walnuts. And what they found is that just 1 to 2 servings a week can significantly lower your risk of cardiovascular disease, actually by 15 to 23%. So 15 to 23%. That is significant. So that is powerful food number 1, walnuts. Little note here with nuts is that when you buy any kinds of nuts, please make sure they're raw and unsalted. If you buy nuts and they are coated in oil and roasted in oil and salted, they cease to be a healthy food. The oil is often rancid. The sodium and salt obviously is not good for you, particularly when we're talking about, protecting your heart. So make sure they are raw. All right, so let's go to food number 2. So food number 2 is oats. You've heard this before. It's on almost marketing, right? On almost every single packet of oats. But truly oats have been found in numerous evidence-based studies to be extremely helpful in lowering your LDL cholesterol. So in terms of your oats, there's lots of different ways that you can get them. And I recommend that you eat them in their most unrefined form as possible. So the most unrefined form would be an oat groat. You can't always find those, but you can in some markets. So just look out for that because that's the whole groat before it's had any kind of processing. Next best in terms of unrefined would be a steel cut oat, which is what I have here. Love steel cut oats, love popping them in a slow cooker overnight, done and done. Easy, and that's where you're going to have those benefits. And then you could go to a rolled oat, and then the most processed is obviously the quick cooking or the instant oats, which I really wouldn't recommend so much. Try and always be as unprocessed as possible. Now, just 1.5 cups a day of oats can lower your LDL cholesterol by 8%. So that's significant. And although you might think, well, 8% isn't that much, think about this, my friends. You can combo many of the different foods that I'm showing you today into one breakfast or one lunch. So once you start comboing these powerful LDL lowering cholesterol foods together, then you're really going to make a difference. Okay. Food number 3, we're going to go to avocados. So avocados are my favorite food. So I have another video on avocados that you can check out, California avocados. But I love avocados because, again, as a nutritionist, so many people go, but Sophie, because I talk a lot about oil-free cooking and really getting the unhealthy oils, or in some cases all oils, out of your diet if I feel that that's appropriate for you. So people are like, oh, but what about the fats? What about the healthy fats? Yes, of course you need healthy fats, but healthy fats really are going to come from, and I recommend that they come from your nuts, seeds, avocados. So avocados are a wonderful source of omegas. But what is most interesting about avocados is that one medium avocado a day can improve your LDL cholesterol levels significantly. So what I recommend that you do is perhaps have one medium avocado a day. And if you are somebody who is, trying to lose unwanted pounds, then you might go to a third of a large avocado or half of a large avocado. So, they are obviously full of calories, but I think the fact that they help to lower your cholesterol levels and gives you lots of really healthy fats trumps the fact that, they have those calories in. The way that I teach my clients is that we don't do calorie counting. Health always comes first. And the beautiful thing is that if health and disease prevention comes first by way of nutrition, then you are going to find that you are going to lose those unwanted pounds anyway. All right. Food number 3, we are going to go to beans. All right, so it's really a general category that I would say of legumes, but I'm separating it out into 2 different ones here. But legumes, very, very powerful. So legumes would be your beans, your lentils, your chickpeas, your split peas, etc. Now, 1 cup of legumes a day in a study showed an 8-point decrease in LDL cholesterol levels. That's 1 cup a day, my friends. And it's really easy to get 1 cup a day into your diet. Now, you might think, wait a minute, legumes, that's where I'm going to start getting gas and bloating. But as you probably will see in many of the other videos I've done, because I'm always talking about this, is be patient. If you suddenly add 1 cup of beans or 1 cup of lentils to your diet, you might experience bloating. So go slowly, work up to that 1 cup a day. Maybe if you're somebody who has got gut dysbiosis, which means that there's imbalance in your gut isn't as healthy as it could be, and you've got to work your way up there. The key is not to eliminate those foods that are creating gas, because you're eliminating some of the healthiest foods on the planet. But the key is to go very, very slowly. So you might start off with 1/4 cup, and then go up to 1/2 cup, and then go up to 1 cup. And so think of something like, even you could do 1/4 cup of hummus a day, or 1/2 cup of lentils. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, beans, I love. They're all really healthy. Whether you do your darker beans, would be your kidney beans and your black beans. So because they have that color in them, they have extra antioxidants in them. So I tend to think of the darker colored beans being the healthiest beans, but all beans, honestly, doesn't matter what kind of bean you eat, pinto, great northern, I don't care, just eat your beans. Beans are indicators of longevity, basically, in global studies. So that's what you want to do. Now, lentils, I have a particular soft spot for lentils because lentils give you energy. They're really incredibly energizing. And for some people who can't eat as many beans, lentils they can eat. And the lentil that I find the most easy on the digestion and the most easy on your tummy are red lentils. And they cook really quickly. They cook literally in 10 to 12 minutes, and you can just throw a handful of them in a soup. And they thicken the soup, they make it delicious, and they add all these cholesterol lowering benefits. Okay, next powerful food for lowering your LDL cholesterols is barley, the barley grain. So all grains are really healthy because they have, if they're completely unrefined, because it's a healthy carb and it contains a lot of fiber. But studies have found that 1 cup of barley a day can significantly reduce your LDL cholesterol levels. Now you might think, well, Sophie, 1 cup of barley, and a lot of people don't eat barley. So how the heck am I going to get in 1 cup of barley? So I want to just give you a couple of very quick ideas here. First off, don't think you have to have a full cup of barley, because if you're eating some of these other foods, such as the oats, such as any of the foods that I'm showing you today, you don't necessarily have to go to the full amount of each food because you're so comboing them. But barley I love, and I think it's a really sort of forgotten food, if you like, because it's delicious in so many different ways. So just a couple of quick ideas here with barley is it comes as a grain. You can get pearled barley. just that looks a little bit like this. And it's quite quick cooking. It'll cook in about 10 to 12 minutes. You just steam it or boil it, I should say, as you would rice or something like that. But often it cooks quicker than rice. It's actually easier to cook than rice because rice, can boil over. And, I always cook my rice in my Instant Pot. Do you? I don't know about you or a rice cooker. But barley's really easy just to throw into a saucepan with some water just to cook it. And you can actually make a barley cereal. So you can cook it up and make it really soft and have it instead of oatmeal some mornings. And you can add a little bit of plant-based milk or whatever you would to an oatmeal, a little banana, some nuts, seeds, dates, whatever. So that's one way that you can eat your barley. You can get barley cereals. And the other thing that I really love to do with barley is in my meal prep on the weekends, I might cook a big pot of barley, and then I just keep it in the fridge, and I'll take a big scoop of it out and add it to a salad. It's delicious as a salad because it's a little bit chewy. So it gives a little bit of heartiness to a salad that might not have had that heartiness in it. It's a change. It's almost healthier than rice if you would normally add a rice to a salad. Also, you can use it in place of rice. And then the one other way that I really love to cook it is if you boil it, cook it so that it's a little bit chewy. It's when it's a little bit chewy, it's cooked, or follow the directions on the packet. And then drain it, dry it, and then you can lightly toast it in the oven. So you can just put it in a medium oven, about 375, spread it out on a baking sheet, and then you just toast it really for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And it gets a little toastier until it's brown and a little bit crunchy. Take it out, let it dry, and then, oh my gosh, add it to a salad. It is delicious. All right, so we're going to go to the next powerful food. So the next powerful food would be dark chocolate. So dark chocolate contains particular compounds that have been found to help to lower your LDL cholesterol. Now, what I am going to recommend is that you go to an extra dark chocolate. So you want a chocolate that has quite a high, ideally this one that I have here has 70% cacao or cocoa content. So you really probably want a minimum of 60%, I would say. Now, the only thing with chocolate, and this is something to really be aware of, is that chocolate in of itself, even if it's dark chocolate, isn't necessarily healthy because can be filled with milk and cream and tons of cocoa butter and sugar. The big thing is sugar, because cocoa or cacao, which is where your chocolate comes from, is very, very bitter. Back in the day when cacao was first discovered, it was drunk as a drink, much like coffee, actually, and is as bitter as coffee. And so then it was turned into chocolate, and over the years, that stuff in lots of dairy and cream and sugar. And what doesn't taste better and what isn't addictive, that isn't filled with cream and sugar, right? So please be really careful with that. Have your chocolate, but in moderation. Make sure it has a very high cacao content, and that ideally it's sugar-free. This one that I have right here is sweetened, I think it's with xylitol, erythritol, and non-caloric sweeteners. So that's important. You don't want to sort of pack on the pounds just because you're going to get those benefits. So just be a little bit mindful of that. Okay, so the next food that we're going to is one that you know about already, but it's your berries. All right, so right here, I just grabbed from the market this huge bag. It's a smoothie bag, and it's actually combined with kale as well. But really my point here in showing you this is it doesn't really matter the berry, but think of your really dark berries: blackberries, blueberries, cherries. And they all have, again, slightly different health benefits. So vary your berries. If you're doing berries in a smoothie every day, try not to just think of blueberries, the ubiquitous blueberry. Try and change your berries up. Cherries have very specific health benefits that can be really helpful. Tart cherries with inflammation, osteoarthritis, gout, etc. So again, it's really, truly, as a nutritionist, it is all about variety, okay? All right, we're gonna go on. We're nearly there. Stay with me because I've got kept the best till last, or the most important till last. All right, now we're going on to a food which is called Amla Powder. And the other name for Amla Powder is Indian gooseberry. Now, what is absolutely fascinating about Amla is Amla has been found, and actually in studies has been put head to head with cholesterol lowering statin drugs. And fascinating digging into that research. But in as much to say is all you need to know is to keep your LDL levels going south, the numbers going down, I highly recommend you add this food. It's not a supplement, it is a whole food. So in this case, you're going to get it, and I'll put a link underneath the video, as a ground up powder. So the Indian gooseberries are dried and ground up into a fine powder. They have a very slightly bitter taste, but it really won't affect your smoothie, because all I'm going to ask you to do is to have half a teaspoon a day in your smoothie. Half a teaspoon a day. Enough said, that is an absolute must. All right, now this takes us to our final powerful LDL lowering foods. And that is going to be, because obviously veggies, all fruits and veggies are going to be, very healthy for you in some way. But I really wanted to drill down here in foods that are extra powerful. They have specific compounds in them for reducing those LDL cholesterol levels. So in this case, studies have shown we are talking about dark kale. Sometimes it's known as black kale. Most people I call it dino kale, because it's the kale. There are two kinds in the store. There's the curly kale, right? That's often used as a garnish. And there's actually many different kinds now in the store, but it is really this dark dino kale and red cabbage, all right? Now, here's the thing, and I did promise you that I was going to show you a cooking technique, because yes, you can chop them, you can have them in salads, you can have it in coleslaw. However, there is one specific cooking technique that will release the compounds that, or enable your body to, I should say, to digest the compounds a little bit better than were they raw. And that's surprising, isn't it? Because sometimes we think, oh, it's so much better to eat raw foods because of the enzymes. Yes, you can have it raw. Yes, it's lovely to have it raw sometimes. Raw kale in a smoothie, raw kale salad, etc. But I am going to show you the secret way to cook them to release those compounds so that you can get them to do their work instantaneously. Okay, so you may think, is it better to boil it, to roast it? Well, the best thing to do is to very lightly steam it. And this goes for your dino kale or your cabbage or your red cabbage, to lightly steam it. And I'm going to show you what I mean by lightly steam, because that can be subjective, right? So first off, I just wanted to show, can't live without my kale stripper. So the first thing I do is just wash it first, then I just strip the stalks off, right? I don't even bother chopping it, because it just will all go to, it'll sort of melt down, reduce in size, I should say. Now, this pan, by the way, I have had for probably 10 years now. I use it every single day of my entire life. It is by 360 cookware, and I can't live without it, and you're going to see why. I cook every single vegetable, everything, from potatoes to corn to broccoli to everything in this pan, because it's super duper quick. So check underneath the video for 360 cookware. I'll put a link, and there's a coupon that they give my audience, which is Sophie20, to get 20% off. And I believe this is, it's kind of old, this one, because I've had it for a while. Oh, this is the 2-quart saucepan. And this is the one that I recommend you get, because it's big enough to cook everything. So I want to show you how it works. So I'm putting about 2 tablespoons of water into the pan. That's it. Okay, lid goes on. Now, the first thing I do, I put it on full heat. Okay, and with this particular pan, it's genius. I mean, you can steam your veggies any which way, but I just want to show you why I like this and why it's so quick, is that I put the full heat on, and in just a minute or so, I can walk away. The lid locks in the vapor. It's called vapor lock technology. It's almost like a super quick pressure cook in a way, but without having to drag out an Instant Pot, because these barely need washing after you've done this. So the heat is on, and then very quickly what's going to happen, as soon as the steam builds up in the pan, it's like the little lid locks on. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so super quick. Now you can see that I've got the vapor lock because the top spins around. Done. Vapor lock is happening. So now what I do is I just turn it down to its lowest heat possible. And with kale, you're going to see that this is literally going to take a minute to cook because you don't want to over steam it. That's the thing. What is genius about this is, did you see I used 2 tablespoons of water? So what that means is all the nutrients aren't going to be lost in water that it would be if you were boiling it, but you have a little bit of water in there. It's just kind of really, to me, is the absolute perfect way to cook. It's still doing its little thing here. Love it, love it. And if you're cooking something like broccoli or potatoes that obviously need more cooking time, you know, I cook potatoes in here. It might take 10 minutes for little potatoes. Broccoli might take 5 minutes total. But once you get the hang of your pan and you really get to grips with it, you get to know, and you just walk away, do a couple of things, come back, it's still doing its thing. My husband and I have always been obsessed with this pan. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the heat off because I know it's done. Boom, that's it. So altogether, that was, once the vapor lock was on, it was like 1 minute of cooking time. And can you see what it's done is it's just softened the plant fibers, which makes those cholesterol lowering compounds and many other disease fighting compounds actually just a little bit more accessible, a little bit more digestible to your body, right? And I'm just going to pop it on a plate. And then very often, what I might do now is just squeeze some delicious lemon juice on there. And I might even put a little bit of tamari. I love lemon juice. And here's the other little trick that I do is I then just get a pair of scissors and chop it up with a pair of scissors. So then I'm just done and I've got little bite sizes and it's ready to go. And actually, this is delicious. Obviously, if you're serving it, you know, with a warmer dinner, but it's also lovely if you let it cool because it's still got a little bit of crunch to it because I haven't overcooked it, and it softens it for your kale salad. And you'll cook this, you'll cook in exactly the same way that I've just showed you your red cabbage. So there you go. How easy is that? And if there's one takeaway from the end of this video, please take away the fact that food is powerful. Food is your medicine. Look at that. 10 foods that you can buy at all, well, I was going to say any grocery store, bar the Amla, because you might have to order that online. But, you know, 9 foods anyway that you can find at your local grocery store that can significantly lower your LDL, that bad cholesterol. And that's what we want to be doing every single day so that we don't have to take the medication if we really don't have to. And for those of you who are on medication, you know, have hope. You can still start introducing these beautiful foods into your diet. And as you do so, and as you lean a little bit more towards a whole food plant-based diet, don't forget to get your numbers checked, because I have worked with clients who have been chosen to eat differently, and their numbers come down. And then they go to their doctor and their doctor goes, oh my gosh, we're gonna just reduce the medication. And obviously best case scenario is to get you off your meds completely. So that's all from me. Lots more videos coming my way. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen, and I will see you next time.